안녕하세요. Hi, my name is Eugene Park. In this video, I would like to share with you my experience about how changing my viewpoint about work changed my life. Little background in my work history. I work in medical field. I lived in Los Angeles for about 20 years. So most of my work history was back in Los Angeles. I first worked in urgent care, family practice, general practice, nursing home, in a hospital. Now, I want to talk in detail about my work experience at a hospital in Downey, California. I worked in the surgery department. There were many different subspecialty in that hospital, but as in working in the surgery department, I also worked in general surgery, plastic surgery, pressure ulcer management, orthopedics, diabetic foot, ENT, cardiology, vascular, neurology. I had an opportunity to work with multiple surgeons as needed, coming from family practice and general practice into inpatient care. And in surgery was initially very overwhelming, but I learned a lot. It was a completely different new medical field for me. So it was overwhelming at first, but I learned a lot. I really enjoyed learning about human body in the operating room. So I evaluated patients to be seen, getting ready for surgery, to evaluate if they are a good candidate for surgery. I need to check if they had any issues that needed workup, if they needed clearance from a specialty. So I work both in the clinic side and also helping surgeons during the operating room days. So the operating room opens up very early. The first case starts like around 7 o'clock in the morning. So you would have to get up really early. And then depending on how complicated the cases are, sometimes you would do 1, 2, or 3 cases, sometimes as many as 6 or 7. So sometimes it's a very long day. So initially, because it was a new field for me, I had to read a lot, I had to study a lot. I learned a lot from the different surgeons. It was a very, very enriching experience. About a year or two into working in the surgery department, I started to getting comfortable. By the third year, I was very comfortable. It was not as challenging as before. Actually, things were getting routine, so I was getting tired, and because I was working with like multiple specialty, we're very busy doing consults for like general surgery, plastic surgery, and ENT. So by the third year, I was kind of getting burned out because I wasn't really learning anything new. Things were kind of same old. And working became like a routine. So it wasn't very exciting. Anyways, around this time is when I found Changpop, and I watched some of the videos, and there was a section on about work, how to view work. And this is when I applied this idea, this principle about what work really is. And as the title says, workplace is a school. So the point is that workplace is not a place to work, but it is a place like a school to learn. So before I go into this principle, I have to back up a little bit and then kind of go over another principle that is very, very important in understanding this whole idea about workplace being a school. So myself, I am a combination of a physical body and spirit. And our body grows by ingesting food and physical material. Now, when you are a baby and growing up to become an adult, you reach a point where you have maximized your growth, right? Your growth plate has closed. Your long bones have reached the maximum size. You no longer grow taller or bigger. So once you reach the maximum physical growth, you're ingesting physical food only for maintenance. But are we really finished growing when you're finishing school in college? What about this spirit or this soul? People say we continue to grow, or life is school. So when they say we're continuing to grow, it is not the physical matter that is growing, it is our spiritual or your soul that is growing. And can you see your spirit? Can you see your soul? No, you cannot. So it is a non-physical matter that is growing. So in practical terms, basically you are expanding your knowledge. You're gaining more information. You're learning about life, things that you don't necessarily learn in school, book study. So having set this principle, what about life after college? So in college, as you're growing from primary school, middle school, high school, when you go to college, you have to now pay tuition. Up to high school, it's free education, right? In the United States, basically the society is saying, hey, everyone needs to attend high school, up to high school, because it gives you the basic fundamental knowledge that you need to function as a citizen in society. But after high school, when you go up to college, it's a higher learning, it's a higher information, higher knowledge, higher education. For that, you have to pay tuition. So you're paying the school to provide you with more knowledge and more growth. So you attend college for, let's say, 4 years. You have a college degree, and then now you graduate and you go out to the real world and you start working. Now, when you start working, people think that, okay, now I'm giving up my 8 hours a day of my life, my skills, my abilities. I'm providing service, and in return, you get paid. Well, the principle, the life principle, is that the learning continues even after you finish college, and the campus is your workplace. Your workplace really is not a place to work, but it's actually a place to learn. It is a campus for your spirit and your soul to grow, to expand your knowledge, to develop yourself more. You have to develop. That is the process. So at workplace, I used to think that I'm providing my hours of work, in return I'm getting paid. So I was working from like 7 in the morning until 5 p.m., sometimes early, sometimes late. You work in a hospital, so many days you would stay late. And I used to think that, I'm getting a salary, so whether I finish early or late, I'm getting paid the same. I don't want to stay late. So I always thought of myself as like kind of losing out if I stayed longer. So what changed after I tried to apply this principle of workplace being school is that instead of getting paid to work, I am learning. There's something to be learned, something to be gained. So for example, I was doing consults. So after finishing the surgery, you were standing in the OR for hours, multiple cases, you're tired, you want to go home, but you have a clinic to do. So you are evaluating patients to see if they're fit for surgery. You're seeing post-op patients after surgery. You're evaluating them to make sure they're doing okay, if the stitches need to come out. So it was very tired. It was very fatigued, very tiring experience. But once I changed my focus to learning, even though it was routine, I was trying to learn something. There's some type of a lesson to be learned, some new knowledge. Whether it's a patient with a certain condition, reading about their medical history, if there's a procedure that they had done in the past, or something about their medical history that I was not familiar with, I would look it up in the book and I would learn. I would gain more knowledge. Another example would be if I have a consult to see a patient, let's say in ICU. So if I'm doing an ENT consult, I go and the patient has a trach, so they have some complex procedure that I had done in the past. So I would read about it. And then if it's not something that I was familiar with, well, it's a learning opportunity. I was learning more about this medical condition that I was not familiar with. So it was an opportunity for me to learn. So instead of learning in classroom, I was learning in a hospital setting, in a workplace, not getting paid to learn, but I'm actually developing myself. It was an opportunity for me to develop. So having that change in perspective, the workplace is not a place where I'm just giving up my service, my labor for the hospital, but hospital is providing an environment, providing me with patients for me to learn, and also not only medical information, but my interaction with the doctors, my interaction with the nurses, with the patient. By this conversation, I can ask something that I don't know and I would learn something new. So I'm provided this wonderful, wonderful environment for me to grow. So not having a narrow definition of study or narrow definition of learning, but I had a wider, bigger viewpoint, bigger definition of learning. So it's not just medical, but also the environment in which I'm interacting with people is also a learning place, like learning like social skills. So by observing and by paying careful attention to what they're saying, I was trying to learn whatever I could from the environment that I was seeing. So in college, you were actually paying tuition to learn from professors. But now in the workplace, is a different type of learning, where it's a wider type of learning, not only book learning, but social skills, interaction with other people. There's something always to be learned. And while you're learning and growing spiritually and gaining more knowledge, you're not paying for this education. You're actually getting paid. So your salary or your paycheck is not really compensation for your work, but actually a spending money. They're giving you spending money while you're learning. So that change in thought, perspective about my workplace changed my life completely. I used to feel very tired and it was a chore to go to work. I said, oh, same thing, same old. Do you remember watching the movie Groundhog Day? It was just like that, same thing over and over again. You park at the same place, you eat at the same cafeteria, eat the same food, you meet same people, same doctors, same type of surgery, same type of consult, same thing over and over. And I felt like I was not going anywhere. But when I suddenly changed to working to learning, I was growing and thinking that I'm growing every time I go to work and coming home a better person, a person with more knowledge, more information, that I'm a bigger spiritually, bigger knowledge, more knowledge. It was more fun to work. So before I felt tired, like doing consults or seeing patients in the clinic, but I felt more energized actually. Like if another clinic, for example, let's say diabetic foot clinic, and I don't usually work in that clinic, but they would call me and they say, hey Eugene, hey, can you help us out? We don't have enough provider and we have so many patients. So I said, sure. I go and see, because then from working in diabetic foot clinic, I would learn more about diabetic foot. People with amputations, about wound care, different dressing. So things that I don't usually see doing general surgery consults. I'm now learning about diabetic foot. Same thing with orthopedics, sports orthopedics. I would see patients I don't usually see, and it is about shoulder procedures, ankle procedures, knee procedure. So I was growing in knowledge. So I really, really enjoy working after I had that change in my perspective in workplace. So now I'm in New Jersey, working in Manhattan. So I'm working in urgent care, and I've been doing urgent care for many, many years. So it can seem routine, boring. Same thing, cough and colds and hypertension and diabetes and lacerations. Same thing over and over and over again. You can feel like that if you're thinking like it is a workplace, you're giving up your hours and getting paid. But no, I try to think of the workplace as a place of learning for me to grow. So it's not just medical things that I'm learning, but also by talking with the nurses, with my colleagues, and how the business is run. Everything that I see is a learning opportunity. There is something to be learned and gained. So this principle of spiritual growth and knowledge expansion and development at the workplace has changed my life in terms of always developing and growing. And when you're looking for a job, so what you're looking for is a place to grow and expand yourself, not just looking at the paycheck and the amount of salary. That just follows. If you have this much development, you will naturally look for a workplace that gives you more challenge or the next step up. And naturally, the pay will concurrently be appropriate for that duty or that work. So the issue is not searching for a workplace that pays you more, but the guy should be, where can I go and learn the next step, the next level learning. So I just wanted to share with you my experience in how changing my viewpoint about workplace from a place to working for a company, getting paid, to a place of learning, a place for me to expand my knowledge, a place to develop my soul or my spirit, and knowing that I come home as a better person, as a person with more knowledge, has given me more satisfaction, happiness. I don't feel tired at the end of the day. I don't feel tired seeing patients or working. I don't feel tired because I'm learning, I'm growing. And the more and higher spirit, higher knowledge you have better circulation of energy in your body. So I feel less tired. I just feel better going to work because I'm not going to work, but I'm actually growing. So that's what I like to share with you. In the description, I'm going to add some links to videos that contain some of the topics discussed in this video. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye. 감사합니다.